Hi everyone, and welcome to the Movie Section Show. My name is Veriva, and tonight we are back to watch Agatha all along. I believe we are in episode 3 because we had the 2-episode premiere last week. Now we're in episode 3. So yeah, just to kind of recap from last week, so far I like the show. Although I have also been very cautious about my expectations, just because I know how my feelings are when it comes to just about Marvel, Star Wars, Disney Plus shows. We've seen time and time again where things in the beginning, the early episodes turn out pretty solid. It's the middle part where it starts to really fumble, and then depending on how, progression goes, it could be a total dud by the time we get to the finale, or we get a somewhat half-satisfying sort of conclusion, but overall, it ends up just becoming quite a disappointing experience. Now, I hope it does get to the point where it is a little bit more like WandaVision, where, it starts off strong and then it keeps on building up to really give us some really solid episodes. And of course, this is a part of the companion piece for the whole WandaVision verse sort of storytelling, because it has been confirmed since then that, or I believe it's been confirmed that WandaVision, Agatha All Along, and Vision Quest are all part of, this collective sort of series that makes it its own sort of trilogy. So, so I hope that this series will continue to pace in a way that, it really sets up some really good storytelling. Again, we're going to be going into episode 3, so it's really the parts where I'm going to be really kind of going to be keeping an eye on will be when we get to episodes 5 and 6, maybe even 7, to see if that consistency continues, that the consistency still remains as we get more and more into the series, and hopefully again that'll lead up to at least a very good conclusion. So, but yeah, I'm gonna keep my expectations low and reserved, just so that I don't get carried away. Now, having said that, of course, one of the great things about last week was that I was actually going very deep into theories and speculations. I don't think I've done that in a long time. Not since, I think, what was it? Not since WandaVision, honestly. That was a whole Mephisto era, so I still have memories of those. Basically, yeah. But having said that, there are two main things that I will say that I've kind of speculated going into the show. One, I know the big question is, who is this character now? Now, since then, I now know how we can now address Joe Locke's character. We now are calling him Teen. So, okay, clearly there's a mystery behind him. Every time that he tries to talk about himself to Agatha, it seems to blur out. Very suspicious. Who could he be? I know a lot of people are saying he could be Wiccan. I think he could be Wiccan, or of course his real name being Billy. So that would mean that he could be one of the children of Wanda Maximoff. And I will say this. I think, just to expand on that theory, I think that one of the reasons why he really got deep into witchcraft and really wants to go to the witch's road is, I think, just so that he can somehow bring back his mom. Mom being Wanda. Now, that's just to say that is even if Elizabeth Olsen would even come back. I know that's a bit of a whole different topic right there, but with Elizabeth Olsen, I mean, I think since Multiverse of Madness, right? She's been very reserved about her, her thoughts about coming back to the MCU. She's been saying how, she wants to take a break from it, or she's just not interested in coming back, or that she just wants to kind of focus on other projects that, in the past where she kind of had to, reject them because of the fact that she was so involved with the MCU. And again, it's a very arduous kind of commitment you have to put into the MCU. And since then, she has done a lot of great projects. She actually has one movie out on Netflix called His Three Daughters. So I have not seen it yet, but I'm hoping to see it at some point. But since then, her tone has changed, of course. Now, suddenly she is saying, she would love to come back if given the right story. So is that trying to imply something? I know we've seen that kind of response before from Robert Downey Jr. when initially he didn't think he was going to come back. And then suddenly, in the last months before the whole announcement of Doctor Doom, he came back. So we'll see. We'll see even if there is a chance that Elizabeth Olsen is coming back as Wanda Maximoff. So we'll see all that. Of course, the other big theory would be who is Aubrey Plaza playing, although right now I believe she's known as Rio Vidal. I've been saying that I think she is basically playing Morgan Le Fay. I think it's pretty obvious at this point that she's playing Morgan Le Fay. Who knows, maybe we'll get that reveal sometime between the next few episodes. You can just get the vibes of her being Morgan Le Fay. She's very, flirtatious, very seductive. And I already got a little bit of those vibes from the first episode, especially some of the encounters that we saw between her and Agatha. So yeah, I think that just about wraps up everything that we've kind of already know so far going into it. Again, I think really solid. Love the song from last week. I mean, the Witches Road song, it's still in my head. So yeah, I don't even want to wait any longer. So without further ado, let's get right down into the third episode of Agatha All Along.
How I pictured it.
Yes. Suits you.
You didn't think it was real, did you?
You know what this is? This is a kidnapping. And I think it is high time we involve the local authorities.
And share blessings and burdens alike.
Okay, someone really needs to call this kid's parents.
Oh, I'm 100% positive they're asleep. Unless... Is this like perpetual night? Like, as a vibe?
Okay, I am a member of the Westview
Fears. That's what we're up against. Our worst nightmares.
But in what form?
Trials.
At least it's magic. Witchcraft. Emphasis on the craft.
Again, who are you?
Well, I'll be. Someone's put a sigil on that boy.
What?
Don't look at me. I didn't put that clumsy glamour on.
Hide something. In this case, you, from witch folk.
Looks like Agatha brought a sparkly little mystery with her.
She was probably trying to keep them all to herself.
Why would someone want to hide me?
Look,
Well,
I
someone
have
hide
no
me.
idea what's under that sigil. It could be something.
What happened to Mommy?
And you...
Wait, where's Mrs. Hart?
Take your eye.
What in the world? Stop! Stop! No, no. Oh my god. People! This has been a very, very, very bad day. Oh my god. This is hard. Not the way to go.
Oh my god.
Okay, alright, here we go. A really, really, really horrible party.
Well, I thought that this was pretty obvious, but for the uninitiated.
I guess that's trial 1.
You should stop asking that question.
Oh, we went full screen.
It's not exactly the stuff of nightmares.
The road changes for the coven.
It changed us, too.
Cordially invites you to the first trial.
Said it. I said it.
My age has value. I'm no fun alone. I mess with your mind. Points for Mrs. Hart.
10 points for what now?
Wine.
Wait, we don't know what's gonna happen. Did you know she traded her own child for the Book of the Damned?
That can't be true.
No. Yeah,
Oh.
you're probably right. But that is what people say. They say no one really knows what happened to him. They say he might be dead. Others say he might be a demon or an agent of Mephisto. But hey,
Hey!
I doubt she'd even recognize her own son if he showed up at her doorstep. Oh.
Ooh. That changes everything.
Healthy poor. Here we go.
Can I have some?
Oh,
No.
you bet.
Should we take the girl talk to the sofa? Which is really just another name for a bad girl. Is that right?
That is extremely reductive. We are not a monolith. And you know I blame Halloween. Do you see any pointy hats in here? Any green skin? Any brooms? No, sir.
Well, I'm a virgin if it would smooth out some of these wrinkles.
Oh my god!
Oh, God.
Oh, you are so sweet. I don't really think I need it either.
Is it bad?
I think she was fantastic. We've been poisoned.
What? Oh, no, no.
Let me see. A formally perfect face.
Honestly.
I don't hate it. Oh, my God. Is that what I look like?
Yeah.
It just serves our best interests is all.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a few questions so we can identify the toxin.
I love you guys. What?
I feel a little better.
Your face is back to be only one type of poison. Alewife revenge. Face swelling is just the beginning. Next is dizziness, delirium, loss of motor function.
My heart's racing.
That's another one. Also hallucinations, and eventually, death.
She didn't drink the poison. You can't cheat, Agatha.
Why? Who says?
The road.
Oh, that's ridiculous. We don't all have to suffer. Tate didn't drink.
Ha ha.
So cute.
Drink. Fine. Then I will.
No! Oh, it's so cheap.
Please. Please. Wanda. Wanda, I'm begging you. Let him breathe. Please.
Now I just need a really big cauldron. That could work.
Sink. Yeah. Fear.
Is that salt water? Are we underwater right now?
How long is that gonna hold?
What
Not
happens when
much.
it breaks?
Where's the zooplankton?
Oh.
Here.
All natural or not, Jen?
Drop it in.
I knew it.
Now? Obviously, yes, 3 drops. Oh my god! Attic hallucination? No, Agatha, I did not.
Is there a sous vide?
Oh, brilliant.
something people know
Sous
about?
vide.
It's a super fancy cooking tool. It heats water to a specific temperature so you can cook your meat evenly.
To the left.
Right.
Everyone.
That's a common issue. Oh.
Agatha!
Blood. Who's in how much? We need the blood of the unpoisoned.
Oh no.
30 seconds.
What about Mrs. Hart?
Oh. Mrs. Hart!
Take it! Take it! Pass, pass, pass.
Here. Is she awake?
Shove it in her mouth.
I am not
That's very sketchy.
climbing in an oven.
I went to a friend of mine once. She had a lovely house too. And she ended up.
She's so little. Why is she so heavy? We gotta just shove her in there. Just shove her in there. You next. Okay.
Oh. Oh, that's gonna hurt. Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Everyone is safe.
Not everyone. Sharon's dead.
What? Oh, come on.
Who's Sharon?
That was the third episode of Agatha All Along, and quite a very change of pace right there, of course. I mean, now we're starting to really dive into what this witch's road is, and now we know that what's going to essentially happen is there's going to be a set of trials that this whole coven has to go through before they can eventually, be able to fulfill what they need, right? What they most desire. So we finally got the context of that. I think, again, that's a really great way of just segueing into like what this show is going to probably be focused on. And I think that having seen this episode, and I think it's continuing like this consistency of, okay, we are very focused on this witch's journey, or the witchy's journey, and seeing how, as a result of this is where we're going to see a little bit more of their backstories, unraveling more of that. And I think this episode gives a clear idea of what's really kind of, I guess what we can say, it has really not bothered, but has become a really dark part of a lot of these witches, right? So they all have something in their past that has, I guess, in a way, haunted them. And we got a sense of that in this episode as they are trying to, figure out the potion to undo the poison that they have just drank. And so we do get a sense of this. And again, I think this is what this episode really does a great job of, is giving us a little bit of a context of who these characters are. Like, again, we know a little bit more of Agatha just because of her association in WandaVision, but now we get to see a little bit of the other characters as well, aside from Mrs. Hart, which we'll talk about in a second. Let's talk about that, right? So I think the key one, of course, is seeing Agatha's future. Not Agatha's future, sorry. Agatha's darkness. Like, what is the one thing that has really kind of been a huge darkness in her? And that is the fact that she seems to have, sacrificed her baby so that she can get the Darkhold. And we get a little bit more of the context of that, especially in this episode, of who Agatha is, and maybe give an implication of who Teen is, which is like, okay, so let's get into that, right? So, oh crap, I forgot what her name was, but one of the witches, right, played by Sashir, she talks about how, telling Teen to be a bit careful about Agatha, just because Agatha is someone who is willing to, is ready to, is ready to turn behind someone's back, someone who is only caring about themselves, and therefore that Teen needs to be careful about being around Agatha, because at any moment she will betray him, right? So, and then not just that, but then we hear the context of who she really is, right? So we know for a fact that when she wanted to get the Darkhold, or at least the rumors are that she sacrificed her baby to get a hold of the Darkhold, and that basically unleashes a whole bunch of bunch of information about the series that we've all been kind of theorizing. Now hearing about this, of course, we're all thinking this baby could very much be the Teen that we are seeing here, right? Because what are the coincidence of the fact that, we have this Teen who seems to be a huge mystery. Anytime that he tries to speak or says his name or anything of that sort, he just can't say it, right? It has been warded off from any witches from even hearing that. Even that seems to have an effect on some of the other witches as well. So it's not just Agatha herself, but from everyone else who is, who has any sort of witch power, right? So, now hearing the context, hearing that detail from this episode about Agatha and her past, and getting a little bit more context about that past and what she needs to do to get that Darkhold, it makes a lot more clear that maybe perhaps, you know, all the theories that we thought was going to be Wiccan might not actually be it, right? He might not be Wiccan as we all suspected, but it could be that he is the child that Agatha had, you know, had traded in just so that she can have the Darkhold. And we see that even though she has done that, right, like even though that's a very selfish thing to do, that seems to have haunted Agatha, as we see right here, as they are all dealing with their fears as they get through that first trial in that socialite house, right? So very big information right there. I think just the fact that we even got something like that, like it kind of like, okay, that really changes a lot of what we had all theorized, what we all thought was going to happen, and now that changes the whole boat of, okay, where the focus is going to be in the series. So very interesting thing right there. I think, again, now that really, you know, I think now my whole theory about this being the team being Wiccan is now it could actually be Agatha's child that she had sacrificed. Now, again, lots of questions why Teen is still around, even if he does turn out to be Agatha's son or Agatha's child, why is he suddenly here? Why is he alive? Why is he in the team form? Where has he been this whole time? There's going to be a lot of questions about that, of course. Again, I think knowing the fact that the show is doing, you know, its due diligence of taking time to give us some sort of adventure, giving us some sort of mission for each episode, so that way we kind of get a gist of what the whole series is going to be, and doing so in a way that we kind of get a little bit bits and pieces of that information each and every episode. I think the third episode really sets kind of what that journey is going to be. Of course, again, this is just the first trial. There's going to be a lot more coming up. The question is going to be, how many trials do they need to get through before they get to the finale? I mean, I wonder if it's going to take almost like 7-8 episodes just to get through all the trials, because I think this show is 9 episodes, and the last, I can't remember, I think the finale is like a day or two before Halloween, and we're getting 2 episodes that night. So I'm very curious to see how far they're gonna go into the whole, you know, aspect of trials and tribulations that they have to go through, and how much more we're gonna see this unveilment of a lot of these characters and what really happened to them. Of course, the key character is going to be Agatha, and how this is going to impact her and how she's going to evolve in this series, because again, we're far more familiar with her, given her connection in WandaVision. Another one to really kind of, you know, pinpoint is Mrs. Hart, right? So we saw a little bit how, you know, she was one of the first ones to be affected by that poison, and even at one point she was yelling about Wanda, so it seems to be that Wanda seems to kind of be her biggest fear. I think the whole idea of what happened in that phase right there is that they're dealing with their biggest fear, and so we see that her fear is Wanda. Of course, does that mean that we're gonna ever actually see Wanda? I don't know. I mean, we never got to actually see her confront Wanda, so I guess that's kind of given implication that we probably might not see Elizabeth Olsen in the series, just because again, this is not a show about Wanda. This is a show about Agatha, although we're gonna hear references of Wanda because of the whole connection to it. But yeah, we got a lot of great details. We got a lot more big shocking reveals and twists that actually changes kind of our perspective of where the show is going to go now, especially now that we all might now be thinking that the teen is actually Agatha's son. And what else I almost had something else in my mind, and I was about to mention it and I just totally forgot. This always happens all the time. Oh, the ending with Mrs. Hart. Okay, that's gonna be the big that's a kind of like the big twist right there. Of course, the fact that Mrs. Hart seems to have not survived the poison, because she was one of the last ones. Even I was just like, yo, like, what about Mrs. Hart? And I mean, I guess it may have been too late for them to save her. Who knows? Maybe there might be a way to reverse that. There's gonna be big questions. I'll say this because I mean, Mrs. Hart is kind of like the comedy, the comedic timing of this series, right? The comedy that we need to kind of balance out the I want to say horror, but definitely a little bit more of the spooky vibe that we have in the series. We do get references of, witches. Like, we've got lots of references of witches. That continues to be the thing right here. We've been hearing a little bit more of like the witch theme, the green alfalfa, that's basically Wicked, or all that sort of stuff, right? So that seems to be the case here, but I wonder what this means going forward, right? If Mrs. Hart is actually dead, how this is going to affect the Coven. Will this hurt their chances of completing the rest of the trials, or is this part of what's going to be part of the trial, or maybe Agatha is not revealing some things because she supposedly has been through this witch's road before. So, but yeah, I think again another solid episode. I know a lot of people have been trying to review bomb the show. I've been keeping an eye on that as well. I have to say, I just think that people should just give it a chance. I think that this is going to be a whole different kind of vibe. It's very in tune with the whole season because we are, getting down into like the spooky Halloween season. The finale itself is going to be a couple of days before the Halloween night. So, but so far, again, another solid episode. I think this one really does unveil a lot of big, important, significant things that we really needed to kind of carry this show moving forward, kind of give us a little bit more intrigued about what we hope to see moving forward. And given what we saw, given the glimpse that we got from this first trial, it's like, okay, what does this mean moving forward, right? I hope that, this continues to be kind of the pace that we get this kind of, there's this mystery vibe that continues to kind of carry the show, as well as, again, unveiling a lot of the characters' backstories and giving them something so that way there is a little bit more of that depth of these characters, especially in a case like Agatha, who, again, we know so much about, yet we don't know much about her backstory, and I feel like that's going to be very key going into the series. So, again, another solid episode. I hope this continues to be the case. Again, I'm going to keep my expectations reserved just because I just don't want to go through a whole phase where it's like, oh wow, I'm excited only to see that I get disappointed by the end. But again, solid stuff. So yeah, let me know your thoughts having now seen the third episode right here. It seems to be flowing by very quickly. We're already about a third of the way into the series now, but what are your thoughts now having seen a little bit more of what this journey is going to be like, as well as, learning a little bit more of the characters, not just from Agatha, but from the other characters as well, which, again, I really appreciate that we are actually giving each of the characters some dedication, some time to kind of really understand the depths of their backstories. What are your thoughts having seen kind of some of their, their deepest fears, the one thing that has really haunted them? We got a little bit more context about Agatha's backstory right there. The fact that it seems to be kind of true that she may have actually given up her child for the dark hold, and how is this going to consume her? Is this what really kind of, what really sets up this character like Agatha and the person that she is, and how she's always kind of this, this type of person who's really is easily going to be manipulative, calculating, just for her own benefit, for her own advantage. We got a little bit more detail about Agatha's story, and what do you think about the whole theory that maybe he might not be Wiccan, that he might not be Wiccan, but he could actually be Agatha's child? Do you think that is who he is? That's who the teen is. Who has put the sigil on this? Could this be the reason why that we cannot really hear who he is, or any kind of detail about who he might be, right? Is it because of the dark hold putting this sigil on him, or is there something else? Is there a different entity, or is there a different character, or a character that we have yet to, realize that, has been very deeply involved? We do hear about Mephisto. We heard about Mephisto right there. Bringing back a lot of memories. And if I recall from the trailers, we may have actually seen Mephisto, so could it be that Mephisto might be the mysterious character that is involved in everything that's going on right now? On top of that, what are your other thoughts going into the series as well? Any other thoughts and theories that maybe I may have missed? And let me know your overall just impressions about the show so far, now that we've gone into the third episode. And again, what are your thoughts about the pacing so far, and your overall, feelings and thoughts about it? I feel like, again, I've said my whole thing where I think it's so far solid, but what about you? Let me know your thoughts below, and make sure to like and subscribe.